Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm hoping that people can hear me, people can see me. You're all very welcome. Just opening up my Q&A, opening up my chat, particularly my Q&A. So if there are any questions, I will look at those as we go through. Hello, everybody. I can see we've got about 20 attendees at the moment, and that should be ticking up over time as we move forward. Okay, my name's Niall Hand. I'm head teacher here at Prendergast Ladywell School, and I wanted to present to you today as part of our open events. We've had a range of different open events. We've had almost, I think, 600 families on site over the last number of days, and we've had three open mornings so far, one open morning to follow, which is on Tuesday. All of those events have been booked out, and we had an open evening event last week as well. So all of the events have been booked out. So we wanted to put on this live event now, so that anybody who couldn't come to the school would have the opportunity to have a look at the presentation, hear the presentation that I give when you do visit the school, and also the opportunity to ask any questions as well. So that's the plan today. So if you give me a moment, I'm going to switch to the presentation, and I'll go through the presentation. And as I'm giving the presentation, I won't be able to see the questions coming up or anything like that. So I'm just going to plow all the way through the presentation, and then I'll finish the presentation, go back to live presenting, as you can see me now, and then I will look at any questions that have come up, and I'll do all of the questions at the end, if that's okay. So without further ado, I'm going to try to send my presentation live. You should be able to see my presentation now, I'm hoping, and now you should, I hope, be able to see my presentation. Okay, so as I said, my name is Niall Hand. I'm head teacher at Prendergast Ladywell School, and you are very welcome here at this live event for us to talk about our school. Clearly, we didn't used to do live events at all, but now that we had to do these things for the virtual world, we have also learned how to do them when we return to some sense of normality to supplement our offer. So the first thing to say really is the vision and values statement. This is a document which I and my headship team spend a lot of time sitting down, thinking about, talking about our school and the school that we are and the school that we hope to be. It's one of those documents where we look at the different adjectives that we're using and you know, swap them in and out and carefully and think about what it is that we want them to say. And I think that although this slide would be defined as one with cognitive overload if we were teaching, it does give a good account of the school that we are here. We seek to provide an excellent education to allow students to get outstanding outcomes in a safe and supportive environment. That ethos is built around the idea of PLS Cares, which I will talk about later in this presentation. Our students are led by well-trained teachers and professional support staff, and we believe that students can achieve excellence. It's written on the badge of every student in the school. We believe in high quality teaching and a challenging curriculum to ensure that students make progress, and we want students leaving our school to be reflective and kind, healthy, happy and engaged citizens. We understand that a successful school is built on relationships, and our relationships are built on the foundations of compassion, equity and mutual respect. And we also recognise we're part of the Leather Sellers Federation of Schools, and we are stronger together. We work with our schools in order to improve all of us together. As I said, I have been head teacher here in my 9th year now, and we've undergone some significant progress and change in that time, but the principles upon which the progress has been based remain the same, and they are the things that we profoundly believe as a school. We believe in high aspiration and high expectation. We believe that young people can do amazing things if they are given the opportunity, the space, the support, the knowledge, the learning, the understanding to do so. We have high aspirations for our students and high expectations of our students, and we want our students to have high aspirations for themselves and high expectations for themselves. And that is when young people will do amazing things. Learning is the most important thing that happens in school. And it sounds quite simple. As head teacher, my job is to put learning front and centre every day and make sure that nothing gets in the way of learning, and when things do get in the way of learning, that they are removed so that learning can happen. It's a fundamental part of a school and education. Some of you at this virtual event today may have something else which is the most important thing in your business. Maybe it's the bottom line, maybe it's profit or customer satisfaction, but here in this place, in this school, learning is the most important thing that happens. And the truism grows from that, is that learning is not a passive activity. There has to be active engagement in learning. Learning has to make young people think. Learning has to make young people share, be challenged, ask questions, make mistakes, revisit, and young people have to engage in learning in an active way in order for them to make progress. A truism grows from that as well, that young people learn best, we know, when they sorry, getting a phone call, put that down. Young people learn best, we know, when they are safe and happy learners, when they are in a calm and well-ordered environment. And young people learn best when they are safe and happy. And that's what we seek to do, provide a safe and happy environment. And the kicker is there can be no excuses on any of the above. That is, no excuses for teachers not to have planned lessons which are enriching and engaging and stretching and challenging and supporting students to make progress in their learning. No excuses for teachers not to have marked books, to provided accurate feedback so young people can act on the mistakes they've made and improve. There's also no excuses for young people not to have come prepared for learning, be on time to school, engaged and completing the work that is set for them. And where those things don't happen, then my job as the head teacher is to put in systems in place to ensure that they do, and to ensure that, going back, learning is the most important thing that happens in school. Learning starts with a challenging and enjoyable curriculum. There's not been a lot of good to come out of the pandemic, but one of the positives has been the ability for us to really look and revisit our curriculum and to spend time thinking about the intentions of the curriculum, how we want to implement it, and the impact that we want our curriculum to have on the young people that we're working with. So we spent lots of time thinking about curriculum, and I think we've got a really rich and varied curriculum, and you can see that on our school website in some depth and detail. Our faculties system is something you would see walking around the school. As you walk into different parts of the school, the walls are in different colours, which alerts you to the fact that you're in a different faculty. And there's a faculty leader in each of those parts of the school, and they are responsible for the teaching and learning, the progress, the behaviour, the engagement, and all of the other elements in that part of the school. You can see on the screen now, the 6 faculties that our school is divided into, and that's something that has been in place for a long time. I introduced it when I first became head teacher here, and it's really successful. It means there's really clear lines of accountability, clear lines of expectation, and clear lines to make sure that improvement is occurring and the quality is high. We have a pretty traditional curriculum, and intentionally so. I am firmly of the belief that progress in the curriculum is predicated on strong outcomes and strong understanding in English, maths and science, and therefore in year 7 and equally in year 8 and year 9. The curriculum wouldn't be particularly different in year 8 and year 9. This is what a weekly curriculum would look like: 25 hours a week. Each hour is a period, and there would be 5 hours of maths and 4 hours of 5 hours of English, 4 hours of maths, and 4 hours of science, 2 hours of PE, which I'll come on to later, 2 hours of modern foreign language, either French or Spanish, and then an hour of history, an hour of geography, an hour of RE, and so on and so forth. And that is how the 25 hours are arrived at. We make sure that, and one of the things that we can do in the school because of our size and our scale, is that we have specialist subject teachers. So when you're being taught history, you're being taught by someone with a history degree trained to be a history teacher. When you're being taught computing, it's somebody with a degree in computing and trained to be a computing teacher. And the same in RE and in art and everywhere else in the school as well. So that's one of the kind of core parts of the offer for young people, specialist teaching in all of those elements of the curriculum. And at the end of year 9, so keeping the curriculum as broad and balanced for as long as possible, at the end of year 9, the curriculum is kept as broad and balanced, and then students make choices for studying their GCSEs and level 2 qualifications in year 10 and 11. So some schools have a 2-year Key Stage 3. We decide to have a 3-year Key Stage 3, keeping the curriculum broad and balanced for as long as possible. We have done an option process in year 9, and lots of work goes into the way in which we support students to take the right options for their future ambitions, for their ability, and that's an iterative process. We have discussions with the students, we have discussions with their families, with the teachers, so that there's a really strong curriculum in place for the students in year 10 and in year 11. PLS Cares is an important part of our school, and it's an important part of our ethos, and it comes with a little story which you may have heard before from me if you've been to one of my speeches before, but I think it's one that's worth telling and says something about our school. When I first became head teacher at Prendergast Lady Orr School, I introduced a praise policy, and that praise policy was one which was engaged with online. So teachers would see the students doing something good, or students would submit a good piece of work. The teacher would log on a praise point on our online platform, and then the students, when they got home or on their smartphones on the way home, would be able to log on, see how many praise points that they've got over a day or a week or a month, save those praise points up, and then eventually buy themselves a small kind of item with the points that they had accrued. And I thought it was fantastic, and we had it in place for the first couple of years while I was head teacher here. And then I thought I'll have a conversation with the students, and they can tell me how amazing this praise strategy is. And I was told by the student council at that time that they didn't like it at all. They didn't like what they were being praised for, and they didn't like how they were being praised. Which then started a really interesting conversation with the student council about, well, you know, what are the things that you want to be praised for? What are the attributes of a Prendergast Lady Orr student? And the student council came up with this idea. A Prendergast Lady Orr student cares, and it means what it says. That we're a caring community, but also an acronym that stands for community, ambition, resilience, effort, and success. And the students said they didn't want kind of the praise to be a hidden process behind an internet app or similar, that they wanted praise to happen publicly, in assemblies, in front of their peers, public approbation for the good work and the positive behaviours and positive attributes that were being seen and being praised by staff. So that's what we did. We built a praise system around this, and it is now our ethos. So when we have assemblies, our assemblies pick up one of these themes and explore it with the young people, and we think that it's a really good framework for getting our students to be happy, safe, engaged citizens, both locally, nationally, and internationally. And this is what the students wanted to be recognised for. Welcoming attitudes, respectful for the environment, courteous, polite, high expectations, prepared for learning, challenging themselves, focused in class, independent study skills, academic success, nurturing talents. These are the sorts of young people that our young people wanted to be, the sort of people that our young people wanted to be indeed. So why are we different as a school? What makes us different from some other schools? I would say it's the following things that we're committed to. First of all, small class size in English, maths and science. Baked into our financial and funding models, we have an additional class that is scheduled for each year, each lesson in English, maths and science. So normally we've got 180 students in a year group and 30 students in each class. So you can do the maths. That would suggest there would be 6 classes on at any one time, but we put 7 classes on, meaning that class size can be reduced to about 26, 25, 26 in each class. And in year 10 and 11, we might even have 8 classes on at the same time. And again, that's something that's baked into the financial model of the school. I spoke about at the beginning, it being true that young people learn best when they feel safe and happy. So we spend time thinking about the social and emotional aspects of learning, making sure that young people do feel safe and they do feel happy. We use restorative justice. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, particularly for young people, when they're thinking about their relationships, their peers, or relationships might break down maybe with a member of staff, a whole range of different things might happen. We use restorative justice to bring people together to talk about the issues from the perspectives of those involved and to try to rebuild the relationship and get people back into learning. That's ultimately what it's about. So we've got lots of people trained in restorative principles and we use it as a core part of our practice. Trauma informed as well. Over the last couple of years, we've invested quite a lot of time, money into making sure that staff have got a real understanding about mental health needs and well-being and trauma-informed principles, particularly as we come out of the pandemic, which has had an impact on those things for our young people. So that's been a big part of our school and something that makes us different, I think. We have a prefect system, and in my speeches in Assembly, we've had prefects coming up and talking to you about their journey in the school, and I've already alluded to student voice and student leadership and why that is important for us, given the example of CARES and how we listen to student voice and respond to it. And that's an example, but it happens more frequently than that. The next part is outstanding examination outcomes, and this is was quite a difficult slide for me to decide what to include, because our examination outcomes have been really good for the past 2 years. They've been very, very good indeed. However, I'm also conscious that they are not validated results. They are not results which have gone through the usual process of students sitting public examinations, going off to independent marking and scrutiny and moderation in that way. Yes, the results that we've issued we think are valid, reliable, and are absolutely important for the students who have received them, but I don't think it's right or reasonable to present those results as the results of the school. So I've gone back to 2019, which was the last year of validated results, and at that point our GCSE results had improved for 5 years in a row. Our progress 8 was plus 0.33. That's an inclusive number, so it includes all of the students that we worked with in year 11 that year, and that means that it's quite a complicated measure, the progress 8, but effectively it means that students at Prendergast Lady Wells School, on average, across all their subjects, achieved a third of a grade higher than students at the national school. So all the students who sat examinations that year in all of their subjects, that grade averaged out. The grade that our students achieved was a third of a grade higher, and that's considered to be a good number, a good outcome. Indeed, these were the academic outcomes that we went into our 2019 Ofsted inspection with, and clearly that the Ofsted saw them as being good results as well. But we'd seen about a 20% increase in the headline figures in English and maths, and in the EBAC figure as well, and that had improved by about 5% year on year for the 4 or 5 years prior to 2019. And clearly, we're expecting fantastic examination results this year. We're hoping there will be proper public examinations, and we expect our results to improve again and even further. We've got here at Prendergast Lady Wall School first-class resources and facilities. When I think about those resources and facilities, the most important thing are the resource of the teachers. And we've got amazing teachers here at Prendergast Lady Wall School, absolutely fantastic classroom practitioners who know their subject really well, who know how to teach really well, and make sure that students make progress. We've got very, very low staff turnover for an inner city London school. Teachers, when they come to our school, enjoy being here. We invest in them as professionals. We provide opportunities for them to develop and progress their careers, which means our staff turnover is low. We have an intended strategy where we grow our own teachers. If we do have somebody leave us, we normally appoint a beginning teacher. We develop them, we train them, and we've got lots of teachers in middle and senior leadership positions who joined us as trainee teachers and have moved through the school in their career. My head of science joined the same time as me some 9 years ago as a beginning teacher, and is now head of science in the school, and that kind of journey is repeated in lots of different parts of the school as well. We've also got lots of other adults in school to support young people, pastoral managers who are non-teaching members of staff who look after the pastoral welfare of students in each year group, special educational needs team, obviously looking after those with the HCP, but also what's designated as SENK. That means with a special need but with no additional money attached. We make sure that we look after those young people and that their needs are met. EAL, that's English Additional Language, students that join us with English Additional Language, we make sure that there's a group of people that work around them to make sure that they can make the progress that they should be making. Learning support assistants in class, an on-site qualified counsellor, in fact we've got 2 of them now, counsellors, and an on-site safeguarding team, to name but a few of the different groups that are on-site working with young people every day. And we've got really first-class facilities, up-to-date ICT provision across the school. We're a Google school. We use Google Classroom. During the pandemic, we really skilled ourselves up with that. We were using it prior to the pandemic, but you know, necessity required us to get even more skilled on Google Classroom. So that exists now in our pedagogical locker, if you like. And parents can log on to Google Classroom and see whether homework has been set and the resources that are being used, as well as the students, of course. We've got fantastic PE resource, a huge 3G AstroTurf pitch, a full-size indoor basketball court, and more besides as well. Science labs, as you would expect, drama studios, music studios, bespoke art facilities, bespoke science facilities, and a huge library, which is a hub design, meaning that our school is built around the library. The library is in the centre of our school, and is a fantastic resource for our students. We're a school where ambition is valued, and where we seek for young people, as I said at the beginning, have high aspirations of them and high expectations of them as well. What does that look like? Well, it looks like, in the first instance, having fantastic teaching in the classroom, and that can often kind of be missed when people talk about additionality. It's what happens, and what matters most is high quality teaching in the classroom. That's the first intervention, and that's the best and most effective intervention as well. But also some structural things as well. Stretch and challenge. Every lesson has a go further task, which asks students to it's normally open-ended, asks students to stretch their understanding and stretch their learning, or apply it in a new context. A more able coordinator who looks after some of our more able students and high prioritizing students, and encourages others to develop those skills and habits as well. We're linked to the Brilliant Club, which is a charity, and we're sponsored by the Leather Sellers for this, and they bring in postgraduate students, MA students and doctorate students. This year it was from the University of Southampton and the University of Oxford, and those postgraduate students or doctorate students come into the school and then work with our students on their own area of interest, i.e. the postgraduate or doctorate students' area of interest, but also engendering the kind of research base for some of our students as well. It's a really fantastic project, which you can see, raises aspiration, gets young people really thinking about where their careers could go, and something that we're really proud to be part of. A huge range of extension enrichment opportunities, which I'll talk about in a moment, and annual visits to Oxford, Cambridge and Russell Group universities. Again, lots of that sponsored by the Leather Sellers Federation, so you'll see it in the other schools in the Federation as well. I could have added lots of things to this slide, but we got too busy. We have lots and lots of clubs and after-school activities, which are all coming back online, having been mothballed for the period of COVID. But we've got a whole range of different things. So Rocket Readers is a celebration of reading for students. Students are recognised for reading the volume of books, the different types of books, the challenge of the different books. We have a kind of a big kind of red carpet event at the end of each year, where prizes are given out for students that have kind of hit different benchmarks in terms of their reading and their development. We've got STEM clubs, that's science, technology, engineering and maths clubs, and indeed a STEM coordinator who makes sure that those clubs are happening right across the school, not just in the school but out of the school as well. Links recently with the University of Buckinghamshire around kind of redesigning racing cars. Lots of work done in the University of Buckinghamshire around Formula One, and last year we had a really successful project around women in aviation, because that's one of the other things that we really do, is make sure our girls are engaged in science, technology, engineering and maths as well. GCSE community languages, if the young people speak another language at home, we'll see can we get them a qualification in it. History clubs, drama clubs, I could have held a whole list here, geography clubs, design and technology clubs, you name it, we've got it. We've got music and jam sessions, got jam band as well, choir and a whole load of provision in music as well. BBC Young Reporters is something that has been really successful, and also young interpreters as a additional qualification for some of our students. Also, we go beyond the classroom as well. We managed to keep the Duke of Edinburgh going during lockdown, and we offer the Duke of Edinburgh Bronze, and we're looking at silver possibly as well, but we do the Bronze Award starting in Year 9. We visit lots of different places across the country, geography field trips to the Jurassic Coast, or residential enrichment trips, local trips in London. We live in London, one of the biggest resources on our doorstep, and we've got relationships with the Royal Courts, with the National Theatre, Tate Modern, Twickenham, to name but a few. And I've spoken already about some of the further and higher education providers that we visit. Sport is important in our curriculum. You can see at the beginning we do 2 periods a week of sport each week, and we believe in competitive sport. We participate in more competitive sport than any other school in Lewisham as of the last time that those things were counted, about 2 years ago, before the pandemic. Whenever there is a competition, we try to be there and we try to compete. We think that sport develops leadership in students, resilience and teamwork. And we do really well, and we're able to celebrate when we win those competitions as well. One of the things I'm personally really proud of as head teacher is girls' participation in sport is just as high as boys. We are the hub school for sport in Lewisham via the primary games organiser. So some of the young people at this virtual event may well have been part of inter-primary school competitions, and they across the borough, and they are arranged here at Prendergast Lady Royal School, and we use our students, train them as sports leaders, and then use them to facilitate the organisation of lots of those competitions as well. No man is an island, and no school is an island either. We have to work collaboratively with others, so I want to talk about that very briefly. Clearly, the main place that we work is inside the Leather Sellers Federation of Schools. That is Prendergast Primary School. We are a through school. There is a primary school on site, and last year was the first year that students went from the primary school to the secondary school. So in our Year 7 cohort, we have got now students from our primary phase that are pulled through into the secondary phase. Thus, we're a true through school. We also have relationships with Prendergast post-16 provision because it is the natural progression for students from Prendergast Ladywell School to Prendergast post-16. Students, when they join Prendergast Ladywell School, have an entitlement to progress to the sixth form, providing they have the grades for the different courses on offer there. We have strong links with Prendergast Vale and Prendergast School. Indeed, just about 20 minutes before this presentation started, I was in a cross-federation training with members from the headship team of all three schools, talking about the start we've made to the academic year and learning from each other about the things that are going on in our schools. We are a federation that are stronger together. We also have to work with you, the families of the young people that we teach. And we have a rich offer, I think, back to families. 2 progress reports each year. That's giving you an indication of the progress made in every single subject twice a year, as well as an annual report. I've talked about Google Classrooms and the online curriculum, about the website, which I'm sure you visited, and our Twitter feed, the half-termly newsletters, parent mail and parent pay, and the way all of that works. Sorry, Tannoy closing the building down. Sorry. Parent mail and parent pay, and means that we can contact parents, and parents can use those online facilities, which I'm sure exist in lots of primary schools as well, and parental engagement program via our parent stakeholder events, parent teas. Each year, parents from Year 7 in particular, but open to others, can come in and meet the head of maths, meet the head of English, meet the head of Key Stage 3 or the SENCO or the EAL lead, or myself, or my deputy, and kind of staged events across the year for that type of engagement. Moving towards the end now, and then we'll get to the questions. I think it's a really exciting time to join Prendergast Ladywell School. We are a school that is restless for improvement, and we are on the road to outstanding, not just in the Ofsted sense of the word, but in a much kind of broader sense as well. We really seek to be an outstanding school serving our local community. I'm a believer in comprehensive education, and believe that comprehensive education should offer outcomes for all students, regardless of their starting points, so they can be the best versions of themselves. That means making sure that we get just as many as of the top grades as the independent sector, and that's the direction of travel that we are seeking to move in. We are a through school for the community as well. The relationship between the primary and secondary phases now has matured, and we have joined up, and that's been a piece of work over the last number of years. We've spent lots of time thinking about curriculum, particularly during the pandemic, and I spoke about that, decolonising the curriculum, thinking about the composite parts of learning and how they they fit together in order to ensure that students make progress in each of the subject areas, and lots of work looking at the quality of teaching and learning, particularly using the evidence of cognitive psychology that is letting us know as educators how people learn, and how we can be better at our jobs as educators and as teachers. And there's some of the things that we're continuing to do and continuing to look at and develop into. So applying, what does it look like? Well, the only way you can apply to Prendergast Ladywell School is through the Central Lewisham admissions form. There's no direct application, it all goes through Lewisham Admissions. Next year in Year 7, we expect to have 180 places, and 60 will be automatically allocated to Prendergast Primary School. Last year, 58 of the 60 students in Prendergast Primary School transferred to the secondary phase. So we expect there to be a similar number. Therefore, we think there will be about 120 places available to our wider community. We had over 180 first choice selections in 2019-20, and even more in 2020, 2021, if I'm honest. Our catchment area is getting smaller year on year, and in 2020, 21, the furthest distance that somebody joined our school from in terms of the distance criteria was 1,317 meters. So you really need to either get onto Google Maps, or even better, go to the Lewisham website, where there is a widget there where you can calculate the distance of your house from the nodal point of the school, which is the front gate of our school. So 1,317 meters is where it was last year, and I suspect it will be around about the same place this year. It has been going down. About 3 or 4 years ago, it was about 5,000 meters, and now you can see it's much smaller than that, but I don't think it will go down much more than that, I don't think, but we will see. You can find out more about us, of course, on our website, and you can follow us on Twitter, which should give you lots of the information that you need. Okay, let's see if I can toggle back to me live. Okay. So now I've got a number of questions, not too many, but I will try to answer those questions. And if there are any more, please do use the Q&A to ask the questions. Let me have a look. So the first I've got is from Justin, and Justin said that he'd missed some of the presentation, and would it be available at the end? And yes, this presentation that I've just given now is recorded, and probably tomorrow morning we will get that uploaded onto our website. So this presentation will be available on the website. Another question I have from an anonymous person, that's fine, is what are the key differences between Prendergast Ladywell, Prendergast Vale and Prendergast School? That's a very good question, and I think there are some obvious differences in that Prendergast School is a girls' school, and Prendergast Vale and Prendergast Ladywell are co-educational schools, both boys and girls. There's also something about size as well. With the largest school in the Federation, we've got 180 students in each year group, whereas it's about 120 in the other two places, in Prendergast Vale and in Prendergast Girls' School. So that they are smaller provisions in the age range year 7 to year 11. Prendergast Ladywell and Prendergast Vale are both through school, so we have primary phases. Prendergast School does not, but Prendergast School has the sixth form provision on its site, so it goes until 18, offering the level 3 qualifications, A level and BTEC level 3. The other differences are a bit more kind of nuanced, really, and visiting the schools is the ideal way to find that out. I would say, and this is kind of my view, I would say that Prendergast School, when you visit the school, particularly the top site, you really get a sense of its kind of its history. It is a school that has been serving Lewisham for a long time, serving the young women of Lewisham for a long time, and you get a sense of that kind of history there, and kind of its rootedness and its confidence around those elements. Prendergast Vale is a newer school, slightly newer than us. We're a relatively new school as well, but slightly newer than us, and it certainly has a smaller feel partly because of the number of students, but also their site is smaller and is more centrally located in Lewisham, whereas we're kind of got a bit more pastoral kind of space both on site and outside the site, given our location in Prendergast Ladywell, in Ladywell Park. So I think that you certainly kind of get those senses about the schools as well. I think there are also lots of similarities in the way in which we operate and the way in which we work, and we work together a lot, so that we can grow together. So yeah, I think that there are some differences and there are some similarities, and it's about what are the what are the features and the things that are going to work for your child. I'm most able to talk about Prendergast Ladywell School in that regard. And I think that we are a school which has made rapid improvement over the last number of years, and has got really good systems and an increasing confidence in our ability to deliver really strong outcomes for the young people. We're a school which, as I kind of alluded to, the demographic of this school has changed and is in the process of changing a lot. And you can see that from the way the catchment area is changing, and that sort of is what it is. I believe in comprehensive education and serving the young people that come to our school, regardless of who they are. But certainly that's requiring us to think carefully about our curriculum and making sure that our curriculum is meeting the needs of the different groups that we're serving and that we're working with, and that's something that we've been spending a lot of time doing. So yeah, quite a tricky question, but hopefully it's answered. Okay. Do I know after sixth form how many of our students went to university? It's quite a difficult thing to find out, because students will leave Prendergast Ladywell School and go to a range of different post-16 providers, or apprenticeships, or indeed, a number of years ago might go straight into employment and training as well. Less so now. And that data isn't captured, and is difficult for us to find because there's such a variety of different providers. What we do know is about the students that go to Prendergast sixth form, because those ones we can track really quite successfully, and lots of them, nearly all of them that leave here and go to Prendergast sixth form then go on to university, and they come back and see us, and we're visited by students who are studying maths at Imperial, or studying someone came in last week studying marine biology down in Southampton University, and a wide range of different courses thereafter. So yes, there's a really kind of well-worn path from our school into sixth form provision, and then on to some of the best universities in the country, indeed the world. A couple of years ago, we had a student that left us, and she's currently studying Harvard University in the United States. Yeah, we've got a good track record of that, and something that is developing year on year as we are improving as a school. As we improve as a school, more students get the gateway qualifications to allow them to do level 3 qualifications, particularly A levels, and as more students get the ability to get access to A level courses, more students have the ability to go on to university as well. So hopefully that answers that question. I can't give you a percentage, a number, because of the fractured nature of post-16 provision, but certainly those that we do track, there's lots of them that go on to university as well. I've got another question here from James. He asks, if the school gets more first choice applications than it has places available, does that mean that offers would not be made to people who put PLS down as a second choice? And that is likely to be the case, because we have significantly more people choosing us as first choice than we have places. Most of the people who get offered Prendergast Ladywell School will have selected us as first choice. Clearly, if everybody put us as first choice lived a long way away, then that might make a difference. But it's not normally the case. People look at the catchment area, they can work out how far away they live and see if they've got a chance of attending, and then put it down as their first choice if that's what they wish to do. As I said, for the past 3 years now, we've been oversubscribed, and for the past 2 years we've been oversubscribed at first choice as well. So I would say that it is more unlikely to be offered Prendergast Ladywell School if you put us down as your second choice. But you are your own agent in the choices that you make, and you make the choices that you want to make in the best interests of the young people of your children. So that's the answer to that one. Okay. What's the greatest challenge you and your team are working on now, not pandemic related? Oh, good question. I like that one. Well, I'm right in the middle of writing kind of, what we did at the end of, it was very interesting going into the pandemic. Clearly, we just come out of an Ofsted and had a good outcome. And had you asked me before the pandemic struck, like, what was the plan to kind of continue to develop and improve the school, I'd have been able to kind of, fire it off fairly quickly. And those plans were in place. I think that the pandemic required the school to not focus on some of those things that were the intention in terms of school improvement, but to do some other things, which is not unusual. I think it's happened in all sectors of our society and indeed across the world. But as we emerged from the pandemic, what I did at the back end of last year is sit back down with my headship team and really think about, what is the 5-year plan for the school, and where do we want to be in 5 years' time, and then start to work that back down to a 1-year plan. And that's something that I've been working on for presentation to the governors. Has to go off to them on Monday, in fact. So what are the kind of the big things that we're focused on? Well, as I said, teaching and learning is central to it. So I've talked about curriculum, and we're doing lots of work on curriculum, decolonising the curriculum, making sure the curriculum is well sequenced, and the assessment models inside the curriculum are giving us the information that we need in order to understand what students know and what students remember, and how to intervene to support students to make more and better progress. That's one of the things that we've been looking at. We've been looking at the personal development curriculum, so that's outside kind of your English, maths and science. That's looking at things like PSHE, personal social education, sex and relationships education. There's new requirements around those elements, and we've been developing our offer in that regard as well. We are also thinking a lot about stretch and challenge, as I alluded to. We've always had a policy of teach to the top, and making sure that the lessons are pitched to the top, and then the scaffolding is put in place to make sure that as many students access that as possible. What's happened over the past 2 years is that we have got students coming to our school with better prior attainment than previously on average. In the past, we had lots of very able students in our school, but as an average, now we have more what's known as high prior attaining students. That means that our curriculum has to flex to that new reality. And what was the top, teaching to the top 3 to 5 years ago, is not the top now. The top is now more toppy and is higher. So that's another piece of work that we've been doing with our curriculum, and making sure that we do that, and a whole range of other elements as well. What can I say? So yeah, we've been looking at assessment, we're looking at destinations and careers information, advice and guidance, and the Gatsby benchmark, making sure that we're really giving students the information they need to make decisions about their lives and decisions about their careers, and really working on making sure that our advice and guidance is accurate, is timely, and is useful to students and their families to make choices about their lives. Hopefully that's answered your question about the challenges that we continue to work in. Do students have to do, next question is from Sahar, do children have to do an assessment to apply for the school before they start year 7? No, they don't. We are a comprehensive school. We serve the students who apply to us and who get in under our admissions criteria, which is SEN, siblings, distance. SEN, children looked after, siblings, distance is the admissions code, and there are no assessments for students to join the school. We're a comprehensive school. Okay, that's that one. Does the school offer individual music lessons and support associated board examinations? Yes, we do. So we use the same peripatetic music offer across the Federation, and it's something that has been developing here at Prendergast Lady Royal School. I think it's fair to say, I'm an open and honest sort of leader, and I think if you wanted to kind of look at the the arts provision here at the school, I would say that our art provision, fine art is outstanding. Our DT provision is outstanding. Our drama provision is outstanding. Our music provision is good. And there's lots of reasons for that, partly because of the number of students who take music into level 2, into year 10 and 11. It's a smaller number of students that take music into year 10 and 11 than in those other areas that I mentioned. We haven't got as many students perhaps who are doing those grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5 music lessons outside school, or indeed seeking to do them inside school historically, although that is beginning to change now. We've got more and more students who have got those interests, have got those passions, and are bringing those passions into the school. I think we've got 3 trumpeters in grade 4 in our current year 7 cohort, which my head of music, who is also a trumpeter, is absolutely delighted about. So yes, we do offer individual music lessons, and we support the associated board examinations, and we do that really successfully, and everybody who wants those lessons can get access to them. We've got enough capacity because of the pooling of peripatetic teachers as well. So I hope that answers your question, Andrew. Okay, Romy, who's a year 6 student. I always like questions from students, so hello, Romy. What opportunities are there for someone with a keen interest in art? As I said, we've got an absolutely fantastic art department here at Prendergast Ladywell School. It always amazes me when I go up and walk in the art classrooms, the quality of the work that is being produced. And it's also a very interesting art offer that we've got here. I'm in a position where I am able to look at art at Prendergast Vale and art at Prendergast School. And this might kind of refer to another question. And the art provisions there are fantastic as well. At Prendergast School, it's much more kind of traditional art that's looked at, and also at Prendergast Vale, we've got quite a modern approach to looking at art. We do quite a lot of portraiture, quite a lot of looking at artists like Chris Ofili and some screen print artists who are kind of, I'm losing my train of thought now, but a whole range of different artists, they'll come to me in a moment, that we look at, and we produce really fantastic pieces of work in art. Our art technician has got a theatre background as well, so we do lots of 3D art kind of